At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hey.
And sorry for the delay in recording. Blame America, as I would like to say. 4th of July here in the States was on a Tuesday, which is their normal recording day, so we of course didn't get together, unfortunately. So recording this on the 6th, a couple days later, and sorry for the delay, but we're still here. We wouldn't deprive you of a set review show. So we don't really have any community topics. We are going to talk about the Invitational because that did just happen last week, and then we will move on to the Hour of Devastation-Palooza. That's going to be a real sad echo.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to work up the excitement for this one, but
yeah, it's rough, guys. It's rough. So let's just jump right into the Invitational. So we all attended to some degrees, whether we were actually queued or just went to the open, and all had sort of varying experiences. Who would like to start?
I just want to say in general, I had a great weekend. My Magic playing experience was kind of up and down, but overall it was a great time. I don't know, it was a fun trip.
Good.
I didn't have as good of an experience. Didn't play great the first day of the Invitational. Took some bad beats all around on the weekend. Didn't really enjoy the tournaments or experiences I had in them, but at least I had fun with friends. That's what I'll say. I enjoyed the trip.
It was very, very. It was a lot of fun. Lots of games of a love letter in between rounds. Some funny games of Cards Against at the Airbnb. I think we had some real winners there. Mike and I were creating actual musicals with the cards we were playing, which is kind of nice. And but yeah, I mean, I had a good time. I didn't do particularly well, but I also didn't spend a lot of money doing poorly. So that's what it's all about. I mean, overall, the tournament was.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about that. So this is the first Invitational they had in Roanoke.
Correct.
Which is, as far as I know, the first tournament they've had in Roanoke.
Right. Now,
which is, of course,
they have F&M's there.
Well, yeah, but this is, of course, where Star City Games is headquartered. So it's not your typical, big city, location that they would normally have.
If you haven't read BBD's article this week talking about his Invitational and what he said about the city.
But he lives there, right?
The famed Borgland Center, which he kept referring to. I just please, or Bergland, I don't remember.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's Bergland.
Whatever. Read his article. It's funny.
So speaking of the center, so that was a little awkward. The whole.
So I'm gonna have to say this. I know that we like to, really, really go hard on Richmond as being a garbage town and a garbage city. And I have to say, overall, Virginia, you're not doing so well. You're not doing so hot. Gonna be perfectly honest here.
At least the downtown area was clean, but so let's just say this: Star City billed this as they were coming home, essentially using that home field advantage, getting a lot of big names for promotions and sponsors and a lot of things. And the tournament itself, I don't know, it didn't really.
No.
Some of the things were cool. The viewing area for the where they had the actual feature match area was awesome looking, and then they had a viewing area for it you do at PT's. That was cool. That was a really cool idea and was executed well. Stuff like the arcade cabinets and stuff were kind of cool. You saw them when you first walked in, and people were enjoying those most of the weekend. We didn't really do much with them, but it was cool. But there were some not so great things. The firstly being the food situation.
So literally the first thing, when we first got there, was there was just a line of people outside. It's what's going on? And they were searching everybody's bags because you couldn't bring in outside food.
Yep.
Which has literally never happened to me at any other.
So like, I've had the instance where you couldn't like bring on like McDonald's or like
like
an
walk out
actual
and
bag
buy-
of food.
yeah.
But like if you had like snacks or like a bottle of water, or, like a Monster or something like that, like who cares? Like
You were allowed to have a bottle of water.
yes, but
But they would make
anything,
you, if you had a container, like they would make you open it and like look in it,
Yeah.
and sniff it, because like you might have like juice or coffee. And it was weird. Like, and we tweeted at like Star City a couple times, and to their credit, they had people saying, "Yeah, we're looking into it," but they're looking into it amounted to nothing. And it's weird. Like, you can say, "Oh, well, that's just that center's like thing," but it wasn't anywhere on the FAQ, the FAQ, or anything for the event. Nothing to warn people of that. You literally are a website that has multiple writers that on any given week, if people are saying like, here's suggestions, do well in a tournament. Like their suggestion number one is like, stay hydrated and eat snacks throughout the day. Like just make sure you bring food to a tournament.
You can
like,
do that. It's just going to cost you $12 at the concession.
But like when you pay people to write articles that tell you to bring like snack foods to a tournament, but then you lock those foods out of your tournament, that's weird. And like they were aggressive about it. Like the people were like really aggressive about like going into your bag and like just being like, you're not allowed to have this. And it's like, oh, okay, guys, I get it.
If you saw like the trash can right next to the doors, it was just like
Full of food.
Like there were literally like boxes full of crackers that would just have to get tossed out, and like so many like bottles of just sodas and stuff like that. That was just
You would have thought like Creed or something was playing there. I say Creed because like that center wasn't getting a big band. So like,
no.
I think Third Eye Blind was actually the band listed on the sign. So
it might have been.
But so like that was like frustrating and awkward. We parked kind of far away the first day. There was another convention happening there at the same time that was a little bit bigger than us. If you were there, the group was interesting, but I won't say more than that on here. But when the actual like Open and the Invitational were coinciding on Saturday, well, there was only one parking lot for Magic players, and if you couldn't get there, you got routed away to this shuttle that apparently existed. Except for that shuttle was listed under like additional things, not under the parking. So like you would only if you were coming in off a flight would you think that this was something to look at. So you had Magic. We didn't have but we had a 10-minute like extension on the first round of the Modern Open because like people couldn't get there because of parking. And this is a huge parking area. The other convention got all of the other parking areas. We got one,
Yeah,
and they
you got
didn't
one
make
parking lot.
They didn't make an announcement about it on Friday, which was weird. And like. Again, we tweeted at them about it, and they responded like, "Oh, that's a good catch. We should do this." And actually ended up in a conversation with Ben Blyweiss on Twitter for a little bit about him saying like, "Oh, well, all we have to do in this scenario is like train the convention center staff." And I'm like, "That's not all you need to do actually, because like you guys messed up on this. You paid this place and then
Right.
had these errors." So it was weird to have like their premiere event and like some of the other stuff they had inside. Like they had like the CW there. It was a TV with like you could get buttons if you wanted, and they only had people working there for one day. You could get your T-shirts made though, which by the end of the day Sunday, like the jokes were flying. Like I wasn't allowed to get food, so I got this T-shirt, Invitational 2017. It was, and that's rough. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to be their big shebang, and it was a lot. There was a lot of frustration, and that's unfortunate. And I think I played against Cedric last week, and so we were excited to come out and. I'm not going back unless I'm queued for an Invitational. Like Morgan, you and Jordan came down specifically, and Elliot as well, who came with us. Specifically, we're like, I want to see what this is going to be like this weekend. We're going to play in this Open, and I think you've definitively said like, unless you're Invitational queued, you're not going back.
If you were wondering and didn't make it out or anything like that, don't go. It's not worth it. If you're just going for an Open, like it's garbage. In my opinion, like the only reason I would go is if I were queued for Invitational and there was like a large amount of money on the line for that much of a tournament.
And like the tournaments were like run poorly. Like it was a Star City tournament.
Like
but
you're still going to get that same quality level of Star City like tournaments, but I mean, it just
weird.
wasn't good.
It was
like
weird.
it just wasn't. Like it wasn't worth how much they were building it up to be like, oh, we're making these changes and it's positive for the players, when like it wasn't. Like it definitively wasn't. Like we weren't the biggest thing there. Like we were the centerpiece. Like there was literally another convention that dwarfed like us being there.
Yeah, they had like security at all their doors and everything.
When typically when you go to like a tournament, like either there is I mean, at least with how it has been in Columbus and most every other like tournament that I've gone to, like there's parking's never been an issue.
Sometimes you have to pay, but like
yeah, and like that is the upside of the parking. Like it was free, like great, but there was none of it. So it's really awesome when you get something for free when there's absolute zero of it. Like cool.
I don't want to because we could spend a lot more time on this, but I will say,
Oh yeah, and it would all be negative.
for like I heard like just hearing people talking to people, being there ourselves, like listening to people go like, so they got rid of the Players Championship and brought the Invitational here to pocket whatever money they could because this is trash. And again, we've talked before, maybe Star City need to do that to actually save that money, but all the little things they said they were trying to do, even the little party on Thursday, was bad. It was actively bad. Like you could not we had a Magic themed menu, which was cool at first, but then there were so many people there with no actual like indication. Like, oh, if you're like, oh, that's a Magic player. Like, oh, I recognize this player. These must be where the Magic players are. Beyond that, we just sat there, ate cold food after waiting for it for over an hour, and then left disappointed. So, and I'm not kidding. Like, it was actually cold. Like, it was just they couldn't accommodate. So, like, it just seems like maybe they'll take all this in stride and it'll be much better next year. But like, they're not gonna. There's no other random convention center in Roanoke they can just be like, well, we'll take our business. Nope.
Yeah, the only place in town. So, like, I mean, it to me, it's just not worth it. Just for I hope that they find a way to change that food policy. Like, I know that's a weird thing to harp on, but like that is such an unsatisfactory experience.
I mean, we went out to the car and ate lunch. We made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, get wrecked. We got around your system. Deal with it. But
hashtag game.
But I mean, like that is just like such an unsatisfactory experience to have at a convention center.
Again, having a website like sponsor writers, like who then tell you make sure you bring your own food and drinks so you can eat them throughout the day at tournaments, and be like, well, except for this one, which is against the policy of every actual tournament I've ever been to. And
it's so weird because it's so second nature to be like, especially if you're going in groups and like different people have different queue times for events and stuff like that. Like Dave played the Classic on Sunday. And his queue time was at like 9, but Jordan and I we didn't have to be there till like 10 for
he had to be there for day 2
before the day 2 of the Modern Open. So we were like, oh cool, we'll go get you a coffee from Starbucks, stuff like that. They're like, oh, give me a coffee, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, of course, not realizing like that, of course, I can't bring this coffee to Dave inside the tournament hall. Like, they're not going to let me in.
Yeah, what a crazy thing that you
okay,
coffee inside.
But I'll pay you $3 back for that.
Oh, I absolutely don't care. But like that,
it was awkward.
That is like the weirdest thing because it's so secondhand nature to be like, hey, give me some coffee on your way in. Like helping, literally just trying to help out a friend who's playing in a tournament, and like you just can't. And yeah, it's just they need to fix that for the next Invitational. If that policy is still in place, then it's. To me, it's just ridiculous.
I'll say this again, and I don't want to be completely negative on this because we've kind of gone on this for a while now. But I mean, if the alternative is we don't have invitationals anymore, then I'd rather it be what we have. You know what I mean? So yeah, it wasn't ideal. I mean, they definitely tried, and hopefully they get better for the next one.
So
I hate that mentality so much. I get what you're saying. Yes, I'd rather have invitationals, but like. We experienced better invitationals. We experienced bigger invitationals. We experienced invitationals here at Origins that felt more special than this. Like, so to be like, well, if we have to go through like actually being like questioned by guards at the gate to the tournament to be able to play the tournament, I'm just going to stay home.
Well, I'm saying like obviously they have cut out the Players Championship. They went from 3 invitationals down to 2. So they've obviously they're cutting down on some of the bigger things that they're doing, and if this is the only way that they can keep doing invitationals, then hey, that's fine with me.
But don't lie. Like they're just lying then at this point. Like, no, this is for this reason, and this is going to be better for this. Like you can sell me the pile of garbage one time because eventually I have to like look at the garbage. So I don't know. Let's talk about some stuff about the actual tournaments real quick before we get into Palooza, though, because I don't want to spend a ton of time with the Invitational.
I want some money.
Yeah, you did.
Before that, do you want to give a shout out to some of the fans that we saw? So we saw
absolutely.
Billy from Philly. So shout out to Billy from Philly. And shout out to Bright Dolls.
Yeah, I was so happy. I was like, this guy thinks I'm funny. Just so you all know, like looking at Dave, I'm like, he thinks I'm funny, and that's all I need.
So now we can get into proper tournament. I touched your elbow. I'm so sorry. That wasn't weird for you.
I didn't say stop.
So, Dave, you won some money. Congratulations for winning money.
Yeah, I top 64 at the Invitational, so I finished 43rd. Went 6-2 in Modern, playing the Black White Eldrazi deck, and went a completely mediocre 4-3-1 in Standard, playing Teamer Energy. Thank you, Mike, for convincing me to play Elder Deep Fiend. Because that was probably the only reason why I won, half the games I did. So
you and one other person did that on the weekend. I played the first round of the Classic and had a guy sit next to me and go, after the match, go, well, you have sold me on Elder Deep Fiend. I was like, I didn't realize I was an Elder Deep Fiend salesman this weekend, but here's my card.
I was already sold, so.
Yeah, it was funny because they had 4 rounds of Modern first before getting into Standard at the Invitational. And, I had both my deck lists ready. We were playing Modern, and then in between rounds, Mike and I were just jamming some games because I literally had not played a game of Standard before showing up to the Invitational. I had I thought what was a fine Teamer Energy list. It was pretty stock, nothing too crazy going on. But I had the Long Tusk Cub version, and we played some games. I think we played about 6 games, and you just crushed me in 6-0, not even close. And Elder Deep Fiend was a big reason for that. And I'm like, you know what, obviously this seems to be very good in the mirror, and Team Energy was the number 1 deck on Magic Online, so I expected there to be a lot of it. So I'm like, all right, you convinced me. So I had to go back out to the car because I left all my extra cards out there. Had to switch out some cards and fix the deck list before Standard started. So it was actually literally the morning of. It was okay. As it turns out, I didn't play against Team Energy, not even once. So but it was still fine. It still was good.
That's cool. I went. I did not day 2 the Invitational. I punted very badly in round 1.
You did a good job of battling back to almost get there.
I made a very bad punt in round 1 against the Leon Arbiter. Just had a line and then okay resolved and then correct the fetch. The thing you should never do. And it cost me the game. It cost me an attack. And from there, fought back in Modern, but played some rough matches and just lost to some bad top decks. So it was 0-3. Was not feeling good. Managed to steal a win the 4th round, and then got to Standard and ran off three in a row in Standard, but ended up getting beat up by Immortal Vehicles in the last round. So I went 0-3, 4-0, lost round 8 to not day 2. And it's frustrating because it's 2 Invitationals in a row now that I've taken a deck 3-1 in Standard. And couldn't even put up a 500 result in Modern. So frustrating, but that's where it is. I played in the Modern Open the next day and had similar issues of just I played Bantel Drowsy because I just didn't want to play Shadow again. I played Esper Shadow in the Invitational. It just again had some rough things. Played against Merfolk twice. Just had some awkward pairings and ended up dying the second to last round of that, and I played in the Classic on Sunday and did better in that. But we had a round left, and I picked up my second loss, and I thought we only had 7 rounds, but we had 8. So I was
that was a Standard Classic.
That was a Standard Classic. So which was surprising. It has as many rounds as the Modern Classic. So
Standard Classic actually had more people than the Modern Classic for the first time in. I don't even know. So
I could stay another hour and battle for some prize wall tickets since I couldn't top 8. Or we could leave, so we left.
It was a 6-hour drive, so
it was a weird weekend. Like I said, I had some frustration. I had my worst judge interaction I've ever had in my life during the Standard Classic. First time I've ever had to appeal to a head judge. First time I almost lost my temper to a judge. Essentially, we had an issue with a counters involved with a metallic mimic, and opponent missed it. And then we were I'm not sure if you can, can you miss this or not? First judge ruled you could. We finished our turn. I made relevant decisions, went to my next turn. Judge came back and was oh, no, that happens. You get your counters. Go ahead and keep playing. And I was no. I had an Elder Deep Fiend in hand, and I made a block the turn before, not thinking I would need the creature. And now, his board being what it was, because, I had a lot of outs with Radiant Flames, and hilariously drew Radiant Flames that turn. So, my block was whatever. I'm I'm going to have this Radiant Flames. I'm good. And it's oh, no, these get these counters. And I'm keep playing. And I'm that's not how this works. And then the head judge came up. They were gone for about 10 minutes, made a decision that was we can't go back. My opponent lobbied for going back, and he was I agree with you. We can change it. And I was what do you mean we can just change it? He's I'm really confident in this decision. I'm that is actually impossible. So there were a lot of I'm shortcutting here a lot. There was a lot of information, but I don't want to go through it multiple times. I made my case to relevant parties consistently, and just it was really bad though. When the judge tells you afterwards, you're right. I definitely communicated poorly there, and it's great. That makes me feel better that happened. So And it was just a really frustrating weekend for me. And like for even like a tournament that kind of went pretty well to still even have that on it was like, and the invitational being what it was. I was like, we were in the car going back. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
And you were doing decent in that one. I think that was like what your first loss, where you're like 4-4-1 at that point or something.
And I'm not suggesting like that call didn't like win or lose me the game or anything, but like the response was like incredibly infuriating. So
yeah, I understand that.
So I know I had a bit of a rough weekend, and like top it off, I said with the tournament being what it was just kind of. I'm glad it was with a large group of people because that at least made it like other things to do and things to take my mind off of it. But it was certainly a bad Magic weekend for me.
Yeah, I had a great time playing in the Invitational. I mean, it was nice because I was able to cash, but also, I mean, in 16 rounds, that's a lot of rounds. I didn't play against the same deck twice, and that's in Modern and in Standard. Now, in Modern, I did play against several different Collected Company decks, but they were all like different versions. So I played against like Naya Vizier combo, Abzan Vizier combo, Bant Vizier combo, which those are all similar. But like I did not play against a repeat, which was kind of wild. I mean, and that's not unheard of in Modern, but I mean, even in Standard, I played against some kind of off the wall stuff like Blue Red Emerge and Black White Control and all these kind of. It was weird, but yeah, it was a good time. I played in the Modern Classic on Sunday. Didn't do so hot in that. Went 2-3 and dropped. Played against some, we'll just say, awkward matchups. My first loss was round 2 against a blue-white Enduring Ideal deck. And if you want to see that, he finished 16th.
Yeah, so you can see
in
the
that
list.
tournament, so you can find that list. That was definitely. There aren't a whole lot of Modern decks that pretty much completely take me by surprise at this point, but that was definitely one of them. I'm pulling up the list here now. That was Shane Morris was the pilot for that. Really cool guy though. Even though I lost and it was like kind of frustrating, it was still like, all right, that was kind of cool. Like I can't even be that mad.
No, it's crazy.
I lost to game 1. I lost to a hard cast Form of the Dragon off of a Lotus Bloom. You know, he had all blue-white lands, and then he just like cracked this for 3 red. I'm like, what? Form of the Dragon. Oh. Okay, don't have an answer to that one. All right, dead. And then lost the next round to White Red Prison, played by the 15th place finisher, John Bellman. That was not fun. So, got some rough matchups. Black White Eldrazi can't really handle those kind of decks.
Right.
It is what it is. It was still overall a great weekend, I think.
So, I bombed out of the Open real hard and then didn't play any other Magic. So that was my weekend. Quickly summed up.
You got sweet lunch with JP though.
I did. We went to this the one redeeming thing in Roanoke, which is a nice little Cuban restaurant, and I had a lovely sandwich, which was something different that I'd never had before. So I expanded my palate, and it was great. So
I think you're forgetting the burger / whiskey place.
Yeah, it was all right. That place was all right. I enjoyed the atmosphere. My food was pretty average.
That place was better than all right. You're just wrong on that one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know you want to be critical on everything in Roanoke, but give them a chance.
I didn't think my burger was that great. So
I had a beverage called the Abyss.
My beer was good. I'll give them that.
It was so just wonderful. Everything about it was so good. And my food was fine too.
It tasted like burnt wood.
Yeah, my food was.
Have you not had dark beer before?
No, I know. I'm just saying that's what it tasted like. If you wanted to taste,
dark. It tastes like burnt wood with just a hint of coffee.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think overall we ate fairly well. Besides, getting peanut butter jelly / deli meat sandwiches from the car.
You guys definitely.
I would have ate those either way.
You guys definitely had great breakfast. So.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Elliot got up and made breakfast for us every morning.
Wow.
Dave did.
Savage,
Dave
yes.
actually makes great breakfast.
Yeah, Dave did a good job.
He's done
breakfast.
PT breakfast for us and stuff before, and the first time I thought he was I was like, yeah, I'll make breakfast. I was like, oh, that's cool. But he came over with everything but a chef's hat, and it was just oh, and now you just know if you're ever around Dave and he's like, I'll make breakfast, let him.
Just let me go to work.
He'll do you right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the Invitational and some of the people that were very successful within that tournament. So we have the winner being Brian Koval, playing some interesting lists across his standard and modern portfolio. So in standard, he played Grixis Colossus, which was picking up a little bit of steam before the tournament, and then Mono White Death and Taxes as his modern deck, which is a sort of a known quantity, has been around at varying levels of strength, and I think it is kind of just been steadily picking up steam against once you see how prevalent something like Death Shadow, Grixis Death Shadow specifically is, allows you to build decks and build hateful decks that kind of play against that. So you kind of see that here potentially with Koval's list. And the top 8 itself did have a number of other notable names. We have Frank Scarron from Team Metagame Gurus, Adrian Sullivan, who was playing his cards the correct way, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Not all facing his opponent.
Yeah, I actually did play against Adrian Sullivan in the Swiss in the modern portion, and he was playing Lantern Control, and he beat me in 10 minutes. So, yeah, really not
again,
close.
as you put it to me, though, you know when to concede.
Yeah. And I just want to say, super cool dude. The first time I had ever really talked to them, and super nice guy. So can't say enough good things about him, and I was happy to see him go on the top 8. I think he went on quite a tear.
Yeah,
we had the same record after day 1, which was X2-1. And I don't think he lost on day 2, or he might have lost 1.
Yeah, he was tearing up. He was having a pretty good tournament.
Yeah, he was undefeated in modern, I believe.
But yeah, I think so too.
So.
And then we also have Daniel Fortier being the other notable name there.
Playing a very unique Grixis Shadow deck.
Yeah, so we could definitely talk about some of the lists here. All of them had varying levels of success within the tournament, as this is a dual format. You can have a strong modern deck that goes X1, or a strong standard deck that goes X1, but it's a combination of both your records that really get you there. So it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, but it's a good start.
Right. But by the way, I just want to mention something. Mike, had you ever played in a tournament where they made announcements like you need to present your sideboard?
No.
Wasn't that odd?
Yes.
So I guess I'm trying to think. Yeah, I have played in a couple, maybe less than a handful of tournaments that are dual constructed formats. And I've played in Pro Tours where it's draft and constructed, where you don't have to worry about it. But this is the first one where they literally would make an announcement since this is a dual format tournament, you need to present your sideboard to your opponent.
I haven't played multiple invitationals. They've never said that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the closest thing I've ever heard of that is you've definitely been told you should probably keep your decks in different boxes, which you should.
Yeah.
Do not. I don't know what world we're living in where you this one's my modern one, this is my standard one. I keep them separated. No, you don't. Put them in different boxes. What? What? I just...
It was an odd announcement. I was just that's...
I was shuffling, and I looked down, and I was this is my sideboard. He goes, okay. And he goes, mine's in my box. And I was proud of you. We did it.
I mean, it's just like the Offspring say, you got to keep them separated.
Anyway, I didn't want to get too sidetracked on that.
No,
I thought that was weird.
It was weird. I wasn't there to experience that, but that sounds weird, I should say. So, I'm looking at Koval's list here from the top 8, and man, this looks just like a Mono White Death and Taxes deck. Tell you what, even got with a Weathered Wayfarer in there.
The Weathered Wayfarer. It's funny because he's playing one Weathered Wayfarer and one Sarah Avenger, and I went back and watched the finals, and they both played critical roles in the finals match. So the first game where he had attacked with a Weathered Wayfarer and then died the next turn to a Death Shadow for exactly lethal, whereas if he held it back, he would have had a chump blocker. And then Sarah Avenger was the card that eventually won him the tournament. Where he was able to chump block with a Thraben Inspector and then fly over for the last 3 points of damage with the Sarah Avenger. So it was kind of interesting that those one-ofs really played a pivotal role,
Right.
one way or the other.
Now, Dave, I don't know when you're constructing the notable names, but you left out Todd Anderson, and I don't know if you're just trying to make like a subtle dig. Are you trying to throw some shade?
No, I just forgot to put him on there.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Todd. You know, we all know.
Yeah, I'm sure Todd.
We all know
Anderson,
you're great.
I'm sure Todd Anderson listens to this. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, we talked over the weekend. That was.
I'm like, did you? I don't think that happened. Yeah, Todd Anderson was there. He's playing Grixis, right?
Grixis Shadow, yeah.
Well, at this point in time, when you say Grixis, it's default Grixis Shadow. We're not talking about Corey Burkhart here.
That's true. I don't think he was in attendance.
No, I don't think so. So then we also have some other notable deck lists from the top 8 are Eldrazi Tron, piloted by Michael Styranese. Sure, Styranese.
You're on your own with that one.
Yeah, that's the best it's going to have to be. We have Abzan, piloted by James Wallmacher, and then Lantern, Grangel, and Burn, which are Adrian Sullivan and Frank Scarron, respectively.
Real quick, as an aside here, I know I mentioned Daniel Fournier's Grixis list.
Yeah, you said it was weird.
The thing that was weird about it, the thing that jumped out to me immediately was the one Rise-Fall main
Yeah,
deck.
because I've been pushing. I love that card.
Yeah, Mike's all about it.
He might be a listener. I know that
Yeah.
you've played against him a couple times,
Yeah,
right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing that I didn't notice at first, and then kind of went back and saw, was that he has 0 copies of Kolaghan's Command in the 75, which is an odd choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly different than what what you would typically see. But I mean, like, so the Rise-Fall covers some of that, right?
Kinda. I mean,
And not all of
one
it.
of the big reasons to play, main deck Artifact Hate is the fact that Chalice of the Void shuts off half your deck.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
Eldrazi Tron is one of I would say one of the tier 1 decks in the format. So it looks like he chose to go with Liliana of the Veils as kind of his like 3-drop of choice over the Kolaghan's Command, which it's not terrible. I mean, I like Liliana a lot and things like the Mirror. And if you expected a lot of Death Shadow, which I did, I think everybody did going in, did,
Right.
It's certainly a fine choice. But to not have, I mean, he has no artifact removal at all in the whole deck. And the sideboard, he's not even running engineer explosives or anything like that. So I
No,
mean, like,
he does have Ceremonious Rejection.
yeah, but like if a Chalice resolves, then it's just like, okay, well that's just there. So I personally I wouldn't go that route, but I mean obviously it took him all the way to the finals, and you could argue that he lost to a deck where it wouldn't really have mattered if he had Kolaghan's Command or not. So I don't know, but it's an interesting choice for sure. I think like Kolaghan's Command is the reason to play red in your Death Shadow deck.
Sure. And I mean, maybe he knew how he built his deck and played accordingly. I mean, I assume that he probably had to play against Eldrazi Tron. Did he have to play against it in like the previous matches in his brackets in top 8?
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find the bracket here.
Let's see. Invitational bracket. Fournier played.
He did not. He played against Lantern and then Grixis Shadow Mirror against Todd Anderson.
Gotcha. And then Mono White Death and Taxes. So well, we never at least we don't initially see that if he did or not, at least in the top 8.
I mean,
it was there.
Can we just throw out he beat Lantern?
Yeah, that's also true.
Like, we're looking for him if he played Eldrazi Tron without Kolaghan's Command, but he beat Lantern without Kolaghan's Command, so obviously doable. I mean, I opted to play without Kolaghan's Command, and there's also another Esper list in the 7-1 better list that also went without it, so like obviously it's doable.
Yeah, I just haven't seen a list that skimped
sure,
on
but
Kolaghan's Command, so.
like you're looking for the test. He passed the test.
Yeah.
I mean, now to be fair, Lantern does fight on a little bit of a different axis than say Chalice, but
I think it's easier to beat a Chalice than it is to beat a.
I'm not saying.
I'm just saying. I think
it's not, but it's different. Like Chalice shuts off like a large portion of your deck, and Lantern kind of I guess shuts off all of your deck.
I mean, Bridge says you can't actually win the game.
That's true. So
yeah, that's what happened to me. That's why I scooped. Game 1 bridge. All right.
Like Chalice says, yeah, you can't cast a lot of your spells for and make them do what you want, but at least you could still play like 5/5s and attack. You can't do that against bridge. So,
Anything else from the top 8 list here that you wanted to call out and talk about? Oh, we want to talk about maybe a little bit of the 5th place list, the Obzon list.
The half Obzon, half tokens.
This list is interesting. So it kind of looks like your typical mid-range Obzon list that you see these days. You have the Noble Hierarch, which are pretty commonplace. Tarmogoyfs, of course, Leonardo the Veil, Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push, Path, Lingering Souls, all the hits. And then you start to get a little bit weird. You got Knight of the Reliquary. Well, I mean that's just a big dude. Like it makes sense, or I guess a big lady technically, based on the art. And you have like a couple of interesting cards that you can fetch out. Looking at it, like you have like a Vault of the Archangel, a Gavany Township, a Ghost Quarter. So you don't see like a Bajuka Bog or anything like that, which sometimes you see with Knight of the Reliquary. And then you get really weird. You have a Voice Resurgence, which isn't common. You see that mostly in the sort of the Wiltleaf Liege Obzon decks that are more aggro,
or in like the green-white like Hate Bears deck.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get really weird. You have 3 Bitter Blossom in the main deck, which is like, well, I mean that's certainly a way that you can go about it. But this particular list is pretty wacky. It's pretty out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say so. I guess what are we missing here? I guess it's not playing like Grim Flayer is kind of like one of the 2 drops that Obzon is playing now.
Yeah, you would typically see like 2 to 3 Grim Flayer. So we see Voice of Resurgence, I guess, taking that spot.
Sure.
Now, having played Grim Flayer on the weekend, Grim Flayer was great. I enjoyed that card.
Yeah, it's really good when you put the right cards back on top of your library.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you just mess up, and that's fine. You just lose.
I talked about my punt. I had to throw yours out there too.
You take your lumps, and you move on.
Yeah, I don't think any of us played perfectly this weekend. I definitely made my share of mistakes, but I didn't have any like hardcore punts that just like lost me a game immediately. So mine were more like subtle mistakes that I noticed like a turn later. It's like, oh.
But everything else in this list kind of seems normal. I mean, he certainly had some success with it to reach the top 8. I'm not sure. I don't think this is one of the X and 1 or better lists, if I'm not mistaken. But
actually, it was.
It was it. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, then clearly it worked. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting build of Obzon. It is definitely off the beaten path. So if it's for all the Willy Idol acolytes out there, maybe give it a shot.
Yeah. Without getting too much into like the details on the list, just looking over the top modern lists that finished 7-1 or better, there were decent amount of shadow decks of various colors. So Grixis, Esper.
There's a red green Ponza list.
I was gonna say like Ponza is 7-1. So
yeah, and I was gonna say like it looks like a handful of Eldrazi Tron lists, as well as a colorless Eldrazi deck, not Eldrazi Tron. So this was played by, it's all the way down the end here, Jordan Boisvert. Playing colorless Eldrazi, which is instead of the Tron lands, looks like we just have, some Blinkmoth Nexus, Mutavault, Seagate Wreckage, just playing not Tron lands, along with a 4 Serum Powder in the spell suite, which is really odd to me, and I'm not sure what those are for. But
so this deck is also running 4 Simian Spirit Guide, and this is a turn 1 Chalice deck. So that's why it's there. This is trying very hard to be the PT list without I. Like that's what it's trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you even have like the Gemstone Caverns.
Yeah. Like it is a turn 1 Chalice deck.
Interesting.
So I said there's definitely if you're looking to see what I was trying to do, there is an Esper Shadow list that 7-1. A little bit different what I was doing. He put his Lingering Souls in the main, but same idea, a lot of very similar cards and choices. And I also know that Ben Stark was playing Esper Death Shadow. He didn't do great, but it was there. Wasn't the worst call.
We see Soul Malka doing Soul Malka things,
Playing the rock
playing the rock,
and his millions.
just black green mid range. No need for red, no need for white. Just like whatever, man. Just keep doing you. That clearly works for him. Did 7-1 and better with this list. So
Yeah, it looks like this is super similar to the list we talked about a couple weeks ago, where he top eighted one of the classics.
Right.
So, that's pretty cool to see. You know, the one traverse, 2 Mishra's Bobble, sure.
Yeah, just a little splash, little dip into delirium.
Yeah.
We see Stephen Mann showing up, playing Affinity. As in, you know, in there were a couple of Primeval Titan decks, right? I know the red green Ponza, and then there was another Breach deck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, red green Breach.
And Jund, traditional Jund, actually had a pretty good list to kind of show up. With man, he must have had a real hand cramp writing all his sideboard cards down, though. It's just like a bunch of one-ofs and like a couple like notable 2-ofs, but nothing over 3.
Sort of Light and Shadow.
Hey, Sort of Light and Shadow is sweet.
Morgan knows all about that.
Sword of Light and Shadow is awesome. When I first picked up Obzon, like that was one of my sideboard cards. The card is decent. I really thought about playing a Garruk Wildspeaker in my sideboard in my deck for the open. I checked it out on. I didn't do it, but I thought about it. I just like
for what reason?
Oh, just because like it's really good with It's really good with Lingering Souls.
You just got to overrun them.
Yeah, just overrun them, man.
Or overwhelm them.
No.
Is it the new one?
Yeah, overwhelm.
Let's talk a little bit of Standard real quick, because like Standard's going to essentially be a dead format here, but there's a couple lists in the top 8 we should look at, and then we should really get to the Palooza.
Okay.
Yes, I'm trying to push us along, but like Palooza is the important part.
It certainly is.
It's going to be a little shorter.
Still spend a lot of time here. So I want to talk about 3 of the lists from Standard. So obviously we've talked about the top 8 competitors. I want to talk first about Brian Koval's list. A deck that we've mentioned a couple times on here as being like something that is better after these bannings in Standard, which is a Colossus deck. And this is Grixis Colossus. Obviously Metalwork Colossus playing a lot of artifacts. This is the deck that I guarantee you will sit across from in Standard. They'll play their Metal Spinners Puzzle Knot, and you go, oh gosh, I'm playing against Jank. And then you'll die.
Yeah.
So this deck is... I played against it twice on the weekend. Yeah, once in the Invitational, once in the Open. Or once in the Classic. And it's certainly beatable. Don't get me wrong. I beat it both times. But the deck is really, really consistent. Essentially, when it goes off, it wants to have some of our Sanctum of Ugins in play, and it will play its first Colossus, then correct its Sanctums, get more Colossi, and then the Elder Deep Fiend.
Yeah,
and the Elder Deep Fiend finishes the game.
It's not that uncommon to see a board state where they have all 4 Colossus in play at the same time.
And then they just tap you out and they kill you.
Yeah.
But also, Herald of Anguish is doing a ton of work in these decks. Like in the hands where they're not going really early Colossus, instead they're playing like Herald of Anguish on turn like 4 and turn 4 or 5, and like if you don't have this removal spell for it, which by the way, if you look at the format, like Harness Lightning does it, but
sometimes
Magma Sprays, nope. Grasp, nope. Fatal Push, nope. So
you just run
Glorybringer, nope. So and that card's a beating. So pretty cool to see this list do well. Additionally, we also had Team Pummeler show back up, and I only want to mention this one because the deck sort of disappeared for a while, but 2 because we got Fling Baby.
Oh snap!
I don't know if you saw this or not, Morgan.
I did not.
So this list,
Fling.
This is kind of awesome because it has Ronus and Samut, which, like, man, that's a curve. Let me tell you. But it's kind of sweet because, like, obviously Ronus is good and you can just play the beatdown package and not even have to really be the Pummeler deck. You can just be red-green beats, which, like, Samut is good at that. But Samut also, like, randomly has a one of, like, you can hide your Pummelers and behind it and then give it haste, which is, like, also crazy. But here you also see Fling playing the counter spell thing here, oh, you're gonna kill my guy, okay, I'm gonna fling it at you, but also just a finisher. You don't have to go nearly as hard on your pummelers if you know you can just like okay, I'll put it up to here where I'm like showing lethal to you, and they're like, okay, well I'll kill it, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, this, or like, oh, I'm doing half lethal to you, so maybe you'll take this attack, or like, oh, I can take 10. You know what I mean? And then you die.
Can you take 10?
So I bet he definitely got some number of like just free wins out of it. The last round I played a standard, the guy next to me was playing it and accidentally gave the deck away to his opponent. Like he was like, yeah, my friend just did really well with this in the Invitational. Who's really getting people? And he was like, oh, you're playing Fling, right? And he was like,
So, Mike, you mentioned giving the pummeler haste with the Samet. Did you see in the land section here these handwire battlements?
Yeah, also a way to give him some haste. So I think this is kind of cool. Like I said, this is the kind of deck that if it ever gets like really popular, like you can just not die to it. But it's
this is a list that like I'm sure he caught a lot of opponents off guard because it's kind of playing like some wonky cards in it, and like you could kind of know what's going on, but then like if they go like end of turn Samet, it's like.
This is so much like teamer energy too that you could just like put people into positions where like. Well, I don't want to like tap out here to like against like Glorybringer, and then you could just stay below them. Like you can just stay low with your guys, and they're like trying to like, well, I don't want to kill the long tusk cub. I can't beat the Glorybringer. And it's like he's never coming,
unless it potentially is sideboard.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. So, I think it was. I don't know. This is a cool way to build this, and I was glad to see it. Sort of do well. So
I agree.
And the last one we need to talk about is the deck. Now, granted, we're about to enter into a new format. However,
I think this is still going to be a huge deck.
We talked a little bit before about the decks that were showing up in Moto that were using the Oketra's Monument and a bunch of white creatures. And it really had its coming out party this weekend. I played against it the first 2 rounds of the Standard Classic. And it does some really interesting things. Now, this is a white-blue version, so he's got, like, Cloud Blazers.
This is Todd Anderson's
list. Yeah. And I also had, like, Stasis or Metallic Rebukes in the main. I also played against a mono-white version that was playing Avery Mechanic, which is a white and a colorless for a 2/2 that allows you to bounce a permanent if you want to. So, like, with the Oketra's Monument, it costs 1. And against me, he was resetting Avacyn's to stop my attacks. Plus getting a guy each time he did it. So it was like... All right, I got to tell you though, this now Todd Anderson's version is a little bit different. Him not having Avacyn is interesting. We'll see a lot of versions it did, but essentially this deck, if it goes turn 3 Monument, its turn 4s are terrifying. Like they could have Spellcaller, they could have Avacyn, they could have Metallic Rebuke, they could have Stasis Snare, right? Like. We had the white-blue flash deck before, and it's like, oh, but this deck also holds the ground because it also has some crazy draws. I lost game 2, round 1 to my opponent going turn 3 Monument, and like we were playing parity, whatever, and the next turn he goes, Hanwar Militia Captain trigger, Hanwar Militia Captain trigger, Selfless Spirit trigger, go. And I'm like, oh, those are both going to flip, and I can't kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to point out both Tony Anderson and Jerry Thompson played the same list, and they both were in the 7-1 or better in standards. So I mean, this was definitely real. And there were also two versions of the mono white monument deck as well that went 7-1 or better. So I think this was definitely like the breakout standard list. Like you said, we're not going to have the same standard going forward because of Hour of Devastation. However, I think this deck is very powerful.
Yeah, this deck is here for rotation. I think this deck's going to be something that's going to really control how the Pro Tour looks as well.
Yeah, I mean, the deck's doing a lot of powerful things. I mean, you can flip the board. You can go over the top of the Westvale Abbey. You have that.
That's not even to mention the Dust On because this is the best Dust On deck. I mean, the only in standard really. Yeah. But like this is the Dust On deck, right? Like it just creates an army of 1/1s. You get like all of their creatures like Cloud Blazers, Bygone Bishops, Spell Queller, Selfless Spirit. They all do something, and you're just like, oh yeah, by the way, I have all these 1/1s to block. Kill your board. Oh, you were 1 for 1ing my guys. Dawn.
Yeah, so it's definitely a more robust deck than you would think. Like at first glance, it can draw a lot of cards, has a lot of resilience. It can do a lot of different things. It seems like it can play control or aggro, which is like these are all characteristics of good decks.
Right.
It even has like a really good sideboard. You can bring Gideons out of the board. Along with other random counter spells and stuff to keep people off balance. So, yeah, I think you'll see this continue to evolve. But I do think that you'll see something like this, in the format until the rotation.
Until rotation, yeah, absolutely.
I do I do wonder about this deck's resilience with the I know we're going to be talking about this card, but with Hour of Devastation, not the set but the card.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially it's like besides this version here, he top 8 with didn't play Avacyn. Obviously, it did have Selfless Spirit, but we'll see. Then you have to see like how resilient the card Dust Dawn is in those situations.
Yeah, that would be your fallback. I suppose at that point
I was 2-0 against it on the weekend. Elder Fiend won all of like all of the close games, which is great.
Definitely the one game that I saw, like you were not winning that if it wasn't for the Elder Fiend.
But I played Elder Fiend,
it definitely stole a game for you.
Oh,
like you were not going to win that game.
Absolutely. The nice thing about that too is that like my opponent had to like game 2. I said game 2 is when he had the nut draw against me, and like the only resistance I could put up was like Confiscation Cood, one of his flipped captains, so I could like make a 1/1 to block every turn. But he had multiple turns where he could have just gone for lethal. And he just didn't, because like he kept counting guys, and he's like, "Oh, they tap." He goes like, "Oh, but I'll tap these 4," and I was like, "Yeah, I will. I'll tap them all." Like so, it was it was pretty awesome. So, but no, like this deck is like the deck. Like if you were looking for like a new strategy to come out of the bannings, you got it. And Oketcher's Monument is certainly a card that, like in limited we knew was busted, and like in the past we've seen how like limited busted cards can sometimes make their
they can sometimes bleed over, yeah.
And if that's the kind of card that's going to make it in standard, it makes me kind of happy actually. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, in all honesty, like,
and it's like legendary, so like you're never like doing anything like obscene with it. Correct. So
yeah, it's one of those instances where like, oh, well, I'm actually kind of glad that it is.
Yeah, right. Like, cool, good, good on you, Oketcher's Monument.
Yeah, also I'm glad that it is legendary, and there can't be multiple ones out there.
I'm glad people are like paying homage to your monument because I'm not playing you.
Poor.
And then
poor
you died.
Poor Oketcher. Hey, to be fair though, Oketcher does survive the Hour of Devastation. Technically, the card, not the set, but the card.
I was gonna say not the set. She died in the Hour of Glory.
Yes, correct.
So,
but she's a 3/6, which doesn't make.
She lost Indestructible though, so you can just like shoot her for 1.
Yeah, you can. Like, sure. I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying she's like.
Bolas did that on purpose so he could just like flicker.
Yeah, clearly.
I survived. Wink.
But like. Creature strategies to me definitely Hour of Devastation is like a real card. We'll talk about it. Is there anything else from the Invitational that you want to talk about?
Nope.
Okay. Do you want to give shout outs here for the winners here for the Open?
Unless did you have something specific you want to talk about? No. Okay. Let's give shout outs so we can move to the Palooza.
So shout out for the Modern Open, Peter Tibergen. Won with Affinity.
I loved going to Burgening.
And shout outs to Elliot Jordan. They both day 2'd the Open.
Elliot cashed.
And Elliot Cash. So congrats to those gentlemen. In the Standard Classic, we have Jane Comparens winning.
I do want to say something about her list.
Playing Black Green Energy, so congrats to her.
She was playing Black Green Energy, and what was on? There was something interesting. Maybe it was not this. Okay, I thought her list. Oh yeah, she's the one who had Catacomb Sifters.
Oh yeah,
her Black and Energy list, which was really cool because it turned on Revolt pretty easily. It also like ramped you into like Verter Skier Hulks, and like
oh yeah, she was playing the full 4 push, right?
So like she, it was like a small change, but she won the tournament with it, and it was pretty sweet.
I'm a fan of Catacomb Sifters, so like I'm down to clown. And then the Modern Classic was won by Peter DeBorgia. Playing Merfolk, so the fish he's got there, and that was like a really like there was Merfolk about.
There was a lot of fish.
Yeah, in that tournament. So, all right, we're almost there to the Palooza. Before we get started, we want to give a shout out to both our sponsors. So Comic Town will be running pre-releases this weekend, starting at Saturday at 12:01, running all the way to Sunday. So I believe it's going to be five flights. 5 or 6 flights.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Okay.
Right? No, it's 6. Because there's 2 on Saturday afternoon. Because there's 2 at a Giant and there's regular.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I think there's 2 on Sunday as well.
Yeah, there should be 2 on Sunday.
So it should be 6 total, including midnight.
All right. So plenty of flights over the weekend. So if you are local to the Columbus area, please come out and support Comic Town. You can check out all of their pre-release information on their Facebook page. It's just Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook.
And if you're there midnight, so tonight, because when this goes up,
yep.
I'll be your bright and shining head judge again.
Yeah.
So apparently midnights are for me.
And you can also check out worldofcomictown.com for this information. Also want to give out a shout out to BCW Supplies. If you are going to pre-releases, Comic Town will have BCW Supplies sleeves and deck boxes for sale, which you can use to sleeve up your pre-release decks, keep them protected.
A little cross promotion there.
There you go. Yeah, see? Yeah. And also, again, give a shout out to Jason Ketty, who was our winner. I just sent out your folio today, so you should hopefully be getting that here soon. And do your best to keep Richmond beautiful, or at least try. You're the one redeeming factor there that we know about.
Wow. Ooh. Yo, he has a family there, so
Okay, well, him and his family. Him and his family are the redeeming
This time you can send the hate mail right to Morgan.
Yeah, that's
directly
true. Just
to him.
To me, I'll take it. I'll take the lumps. But and we are going to be giving out deck boxes here soon. So keep a lock on our Twitter for that. We're still trying to figure out the best way to give away things and not have a bunch of non-fans get them. So it's difficult out there. It's difficult out there for a podcast.
I gotta tell you, we got. If you're ever wondering about running anything like this, our last contest, we may have gotten hit by a coupon machine that send a bunch of moms in North Carolina follow to get free stuff, and all of a sudden we got followed by a ton of moms who definitely probably wouldn't approve of Magic. Just based on their profiles, probably weren't a big fan of things with demons. So
I mean, or at least would know what Magic the Gathering even is.
It was really weird. I was like, why? Who are all these? Oh no, it's an army.
So we're working on it. And I've noticed that CVM has been also working on it as well. He's had multiple giveaways, giving away via multiple different methods, trying to find the perfect one. So, I mean, I'll probably message him and figure it out. But expect some more giveaways from our end on our Twitter. And check out bcwsupplies.com for anything that you want from their website. You can get shipped to you as well. So definitely check it out. All right, the Palooza. So pretty easy, pretty simple. Nothing too fancy here. The set overall is kind of meh. And we'll try to breeze through some of this stuff. I think we're going to start with white.
So do you want to just, for those who haven't heard before, we're going to focus on
constructed playability for standard and modern, yes,
for the most part. If there's something that jumps out for legacy, whatever, we don't really play that format, so we don't really know what we're talking about.
We'll miss it. Also, we will. It is very likely that we will miss things that turn out to be good. We were pretty. We tried to add some stuff that is kind of out there, but there is a lot of weird stuff in this set. So, without further ado, let's jump in right here and start with white.
Horse Lord. And, I'll take this one.
Yeah, Dave seemed very...
Sorry, you're just so excited.
Yeah.
Dave seemed pretty excited about the Horse Lord.
This is an exciting card. It's one of the few, in my opinion. No. So first card we have is Crested Sunmare. It is a 3 generic white horse. It's a 5/5. It says, other horses you control have indestructible. And if you're wondering how many other horses there are in standard, just one. The zombie horse from...
there's 2 zombie horses.
There's 2 zombie?
Right?
Ghoul Steed and Ashmouth
whatever.
Steed or horse.
Oh, yeah, the 3/3 that has
the red one?
The shade. No, it's got a shade ability.
Yes.
You
can pump it.
Okay. It also has, at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 5/5 white horse creature token. So, I don't know, 5/5 for 5 that makes tokens. It makes large tokens. I don't know.
A relatively easy thing to do, depending on how you build your deck. You could definitely build your deck around it so that it is easy to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is kind of an exciting card. I think it's interesting to note that it's at each end step. So you could get one. You could play this, and if you gain life this turn, you get a token at the end of your turn, and then you could also, if you gain life on your opponent's turn, you get a token. I don't know.
Yeah, I was I looked at this card and I was like, okay, that's funny. But then now I kind of think this card's good. You start with 4 of these and 4 Renewed Faith, and I'm already happy. So
you just play this with all your cat tokens because they all have lifelink, and that's how you do it.
Yeah,
it's cats and horses. It's the whole barn. Barnyard.deck.
Oh man, it's like I was want to go to an open now and register back at the barnyard as a deck.
You bring the speak and spell with you. Not the speak and spell, the wheel.
No, now it's a speak and spell. Nay.
No, not that. You know what I mean. The cow goes moo.
The crested sunmare goes, you're dead.
Those things were always fun until like they started to like get broken, and then they would sound demonic.
The cow goes.
Little cow.
Kill your family.
It's just like, all right.
I think you had some real messed up toys in your house, bud.
Yeah, I'm not getting that one for my son, so it's
Fair enough. But we like this card. I think it's
Crested Sunmare, cool card.
out of like it is a mythic. I feel like out of the mythics that we've seen, it's definitely it feels like one of the more standard constructed playable mythics.
Yeah, this is one of the only like kind of money cards in the set too, right?